Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. At this new moon in Taurus, Uranus is about to shift into Taurus itself after 7 years in Aries. In the chart you'll see it's 29 degrees 59 minutes, and it takes about 3 or 4 hours to complete that last minute of a degree. So it really is at the new moon that this is happening, which colours the whole month with the shift, not just with how it is to have Uranus in Taurus, but how it is to shift from the Aries activity, suddenness, discoveries of self, into dealing with the results of everything that we've just done, whereby the changes have to reverberate through the earth, through our physical circumstances. Most wonderfully, we have Mercury having just gone into Taurus itself. So our thinking, our understanding is on the practical level, ready to deal with whatever comes. And the new moon being at the end of Taurus and trining Pluto and Mars suggests that the changes are completing changes, finishing things off with skill and understanding. In the chart, Mars is still in Capricorn. So again, this month, it's not just about the practical energy, knowing how to do things, being able to go ahead, deal with the challenges in a useful and competent way. It's also about the shift of that energy into Aquarius, out of Capricorn, as though in completing the practical, at the same time we have to lift our heads and look at the society around us. With the South Node in Aquarius for a period of time, this is something that keeps coming up to be said, that it is the whole of society that one has to pay attention to, the whole of humanity that's affected by whatever happens, affected not just because they are emotional and sensitive, as one might say with Pisces, but because we are connected. It's very easy to slide into being moral about it, because it's about the rules of human behaviour. But it's not moral rules. Those vary depending which society you're in. It's more to do with the need to have an agreement of what the rules should be, so that each small society can have its own, but that no society knocks against those of another. It's always taking others into account when one structures how people will be together. The fact of having rules of behaviour that animals know all about in their family groupings and species groupings, the natural laws. And we go further than the natural survival laws. We go for the spiritual laws, the way we know things actually work, that animals take for granted. In lifting our heads from the purely physical of our own surroundings, our own needs, into looking at what actually is required, the rules of society that we're in, however they came about or are coming about, we may have to make quite sudden changes to what we had thought we were going to do. I think the key word is flexibility this month. To be sensitive to what is there and flexible to what needs to change. And above all, to know the difference between what we want and what we need, what we may personally want and what our soul may require for us. It's very easy to lose track of the difference, especially when the personality has a sense of struggle. There's a beautiful trine in the chart between Jupiter and Neptune, so the spiritual laws very apparent and very supportive. It's as though we do have great wings at our backs. We are being moved very tenderly towards the changes that need to be made. Our job is to keep our spirits up and to know that whatever changes seem to be forced upon us, they are ultimately for our benefit and for our happiness. The North Node is in Leo. It's about the joy of the heart. And Saturn is quincunxing it. Saturn in its own sign of Capricorn, working for the benefit of that opening. But only if we remember to stay with the soul's movement, to stay with the spirit of humanity as a whole. When we become fixed on our own desires, our own ambitions, our own personal drives, we're liable to undermine the happiness not just of ourselves but everyone round us. Venus is in Gemini, 25 degrees. So the talk, the communication, the movement amongst the people, moving about, being in touch, friends, chatting, explaining to acquaintances, it's all very light and possible. The full moon chart has a beautiful solution where the trine between Jupiter and Neptune is supported and understood by the Venus in Cancer, as though we really do appreciate the spirit, the spiritual needs. Within that second half of the month, a feeling of closeness and warmth, and definitely an awareness within our relationships of the spirit of those we're relating to. It's like a recognition, perhaps, of how difficult all of this situation can be, and how it's all very well for me to talk in positive terms, but it doesn't always feel positive. It can feel really, really hard. So the appreciation of how hard it can be, if one can stay with that appreciation and closeness and let the pain wash through, the joy rises of itself. And there is the moon in this chart and the sun in this chart, both making lovely connections to the North Node. The sun in Gemini, very much that month of communication anyway, and the moon in Sagittarius, looking for other solutions, other ways, connecting beautifully with the Mars and with Chiron, very aware that it is everyone who needs the solution. With the Sun trining Mars and Mars trining Mercury, who is about to pop over into Gemini, its own sign, I think we will be finding solutions through our communication, with the care that we feel for people and the clarity of speech. It feels very much to me, looking at this chart, that this is a time for getting on track, for being on track, and recognizing that that feeling is what links us to others. On a personal level, for the whole month, and for the next 7 years, it may well be about letting go on a physical, practical level. As they say, we can't take it with us. So we need to be in a real relationship with the physical world that remembers constantly that we don't take it with us once we leave the body. A wonderful opportunity for getting our priorities sorted. There is more said and different in my new moon letter, posted on the website. Thank you. Let your shoulders drop an inch or two and allow the back of your neck to stretch up. There is no convincing the part of you that doesn't believe in love. So breathe your posture upright and strong and allow the love that you know rules life to enter and flow through. Love is all, as every tree and blade of grass will tell you. Every flower opens into love moment by moment, or how could it risk its beauty to the wind? Where life is in its fullness, there can be no fear.